was that I made my fourth grade teacher cry. I was like, damn,
Yeah,
I'm a bad kid.
I honestly, the worst thing I did to a teacher one time is there was a teacher in, I believe it was third grade, maybe fourth grade, can't remember. Um, but her name was Miss Merrill, and she was, I guess, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what nationality she was, but she was Asian. I believe she was Korean. I might be wrong by saying that, but I believe she was Korean. Um, One time I went into class, and it wasn't a bad thing that I said. I didn't say anything bad. Um, but I asked her why she had weird eyes. You know what I mean? I asked her why she had weird eyes. I remember this like it was yesterday because like it. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. She is the first Asian person I had ever met in my life.
Oh, really?
I'd been around a lot of Mexican people at that point. I'd been around a lot of like black people at that point, and never seen an Asian person ever in real life. You know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it was a first experience for me, and I didn't know. I couldn't understand it because she looked white. You know what I mean? She looked white,
You just have
but
skin
she
tone.
had like, like some weird features to her. And I was like, are you like part Hawaiian? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. And she's like, no. She's like, no, I'm Korean. I'm part Korean. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Hi, Willie. But yeah, it's like,
Gotta have the first comment.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But anyway, she explained it to me that she's from a different country and that's how everybody looks and all that stuff. And I basically told her, I was like, so why did you leave from your home country? And I said it in the way of like thinking she came from Korea. You know what I mean? Like I thought she meant like, no, we moved from Korea to the United States. You know what I mean? Because she kind of had that accent. I mean, like that she was from a different country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just didn't piece it together, as a child. But like thinking back on how her voice sounded, cause she sounded like this. You know what I mean? She sounded kind of like this when she talked.
She had that ding dong voice.
Yeah, she had like that.
Daddy.
I'm gonna call it the stereotypical Asian, uh, what I call the ling long effect, which is
Yeah.
like your certain vowels are elongated. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, she was like basically explaining it to me in the fact of like, oh no, my parents were from there, but they moved here. Right? Well, I guess her mom was Korean, moved to the United States, married a husband here in the United States, had a kid, which was her, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
all that shit. So I was like, oh. And I was like, wait, so like your mom came from Korea? And she's like, yeah, she came from Korea. And I was like, so, like, what was, like, why'd she come to America? You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm gonna be honest. As a kid, you don't understand that certain countries are fucked up and some countries are not. You know what I mean? You don't
Right.
understand that as a child. You're not taught that yet. You know what I mean? But she was like, no, we're like refugees from like a country that's like really fucked up. Like you don't understand. My mother didn't know that certain shit even existed until she was like 30 or 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like she was like basically like her mom was a refugee from whatever Korea's the bad one. I can't remember which one.
North
Um,
Korea.
yeah. Anyway, uh, she was basically like raised knowing that like, oh yeah, there's this certain person and he's God. You don't fuck with him.
Oh,
He's God. You know what I mean?
Buddha. I think.
No, like a physical person. Like you stand in front of them like physical person is your God,
Okay.
right? That's basically how they're taught. You know what I mean? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, I'm your leader, right? It's I'm your fucking God. If I
Yeah.
say that you can't do something and you fucking do it, you're dead.
You're dead. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not more of like, oh yeah, I make a law, right? And if you break it, you get a little no. You know what I mean? Like prison time or whatever. No. If he wants to kill you, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Bang. Nobody's gonna say shit because he's the dude that's in charge of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, for example, he can control what they wear. Like, for example, he has like a whole group of women that are so brainwashed into thinking he's literally a god that like they're all just like basically his like his S word slaves. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like, dude, you are a fucking fucked up individual. Like, how can you do that? Like, that's my thing. Like, I'm one of those people that's like, if I have the S word with a woman, I feel an intimate connection. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. If I don't feel an intimate connection, I'm not even gonna think of you that way. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna fucking think twice that way. You know what I mean? If I'm sitting there and I'm chilling with you and we're friends, that's all I think of you as, is a friend. If you like walk up to me and you're like, hey, I kind of like you, you know, I'm gonna be like,
Okay.
okay, like, yeah, we're friends. Like, you're supposed to kind of like me. We're friends. You know what I mean? They're like, no, I kind of like you like that. And I'm like, but we're friends though. But we're friends though. But we're friends though. Like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's not a bad thing to date your friends, because like, obviously you get along with them because they're your friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like at the same time, you're like, I don't know. I feel like it would like ruin a good friendship. You know what I mean? I've known you for this long, and you telling me this now? Like, you tell me this now? We could have been dating a long time ago, and we could have not been friends this whole time, and it wouldn't be weird. You know what I mean? But now it's weird because we've been friends for like 5 years. Well, there's also a difference between that too. Like, if I'm friends with a chick, right? And it's not so much of like, oh yeah, like, we want to be, you know, together type shit. But it's like, I find you physically attractive, and if given the opportunity, I would have the S word with you. You know what I mean? That's just the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're attractive. I would do it. You know what I mean? And like, sometimes they're like, hey, I mean, I think you're kind of cute too. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind it either. You know what I mean? Be like, well, I mean, we don't have to date. We can just do the thing and just be friends. Just hang out once in a while, and if you feel like you wanna, and I feel like I wanna, let's do it. You know what I mean?
By all means.
By all means, I am an open shop at any moment in time. You want to wake me up in the middle of the night? Fuck, girl, do it. You horny right now? Let's do it.
Surprise me.
Surprise me. Funny thing, actually. I don't know if I should mention specifics, but we're gonna talk about this because this is funny. So, way long time ago, back when I was, not way long time ago, but I'm gonna say about 4, maybe 5 years ago. I was dating this girl, and she had bought undergarments that were, how do I explain this? Special undergarments that you could use a remote for. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
You get it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she had purchased them, and right before we went shopping, she hands me this little remote, and I don't know what the thing's for. I think it's just a little fidget toy at this point, because I don't see anything happen. I don't hear anything happen when I press this button, right? But we're walking through the store, and I'm just like clicking it like this, right? Because I think it's just a little clicker button, because it just makes like a nice little satisfying click, right? I don't know what it's fucking doing. I'm just clicking it. So I'm sitting there, like, at certain points when I start clicking it, I notice she kind of gets a little weird. You know what I mean? I'm like, the fuck's going on here? And she didn't tell me on purpose, because she knew that I like little clicker fidget toys, right? She knew I like clicker fidget toys. She purposely did not tell me that it was a fucking remote control for her special things that she was wearing.
Yeah.
So that way, when I was fidgeting, right, and I was wanting to play with something, I was playing with something that would play with her, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it was like a weird little thing in her head. It was like people have their things, okay? That's how I'm gonna say it. But like,
okay,
she had a weird thing where, like, you know, that was a thing for her. You know what I mean? So I don't mind that kind of shit. You know what I mean? That fuck it. If that's what you like, that's what you like. That's all good. But she liked the idea that it was like, you know, me basically just fidgeting, but in a way fidgeting with her. I don't know. I that's, besides the point. Anyway, I look at her and I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I'm like, "Okay." You know what I mean? So I'm like, "All right, whatever." You know what I mean? And so at one point I'm sitting there and I'm looking at something on the shelf. And I'm like sitting there, I have it like this, right? I have it like resting against my cheek. And I'm like, I'll like click it, let go. Click, let go. Click, let go. Click, let go. And she's in an aisle, like an aisle or two away from me, right? And I can't see what's going on. I don't know. I have no idea. But we're in a part of the store at this point where it's like, there's not very many people. And you might run into one person every like 15, 20 minutes. Because like when we go to stores, we usually try and go when it's really fucking empty because I don't like people. If there's a lot of people around me, I will go fucking ape nuts crazy balls because I have really bad claustrophobia with people. Not so much enclosed spaces, just people in general. But anyway, we were, just like chilling around. I was fucking, looking at stuff on the counter. And she walks around the aisle. And she walks over to me and goes, "How many times did you click that?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I've just been sitting here just kind of clicking it, looking at stuff on the counter and just kind of holding it down at some points." And she goes, "Well, I can tell you how many times you've clicked that since we've gotten here." I was like, "How the fuck can you tell me that?" I was like, "Is it like connected to your phone?" She goes, "No, it's not connected to my phone. It's on me, but it's not my phone." I was like,
Oh?
I was sitting there, like, I didn't connect the dots, you know what I mean, for, like, a good second. You know what I mean, I like, she had to feed it to me, basically. She was like, "It's not to my phone. I can count how many times it went off." I'm, like, sitting there for a minute. I'm still staring at her, like, clueless. She goes, "Certain areas of my body are very sensitive." And I was like, "Oh, that's what this is." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You have clicked that button 182 times since we came through the front door." She goes, "I'm not going to lie to you. Right now, I wish we were at home because I want to suck your face off." Basically saying like, I want to have the S word with you so badly right now, but we're in a public place, basically. And I was like, well, shit, my bad. I didn't know that's what this was. Fuck. And I was like, "God damn it. I didn't know what you were handing me. I thought it was just a little clicker." And she goes, "Well, I did that on purpose, honestly. I thought you were just, going to click on it." And she explained to me the whole thing. And I was like, "Oh, well, okay. That was the plan. Then that's cool." But anyway, it was like, I think by the time that we got to the car, since I knew it was a certain thing after that, I knew that if you held it, because I kind of did a little experiment on the way to the counter, not gonna lie, I knew if you held it, then it would just keep going, right? So I was like, I know what I'm gonna do on the way to the car. I have a little devious smirk on. She knows that something's about to go down, and she's like, "You better not," because we're going up at this time, right? The Walmart that we're going to didn't have as many self-checkouts as most Walmarts now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we walk up to the front and we're sitting in the checkout lane, right? And, we're waiting in line. We're not quite up to the front yet. There's like two people in front of us. And I'm like, whatever, like sitting here. And I like look over down the aisle and I look over this way. And it's like probably like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night and there's barely anybody in the Walmart. And I kind of look around and I don't see anybody. I'm like, okay. And so I just reach in my pocket. Like I'm just standing there, like putting both my hands in both pockets. And I grab onto that remote in my pocket. I'm not even shitting you. I grabbed onto it. I looked at her and I said, "Hey, hun." She goes, "Yeah." And she looks at me and I just pressed the button down and just looked at her straight in her eyes. I could just see her just melting. Just fucking melting, dude. She's like her feet were moving and shit. She was like, "Stop it." And she's like basically like fucking like at that point she was like fucking like about to like be very verbal about the situation. And usually when it's like that, she'll basically do like this whole hand gesture of like stop. You know what I mean? Because like we have a thing where like, well, me and her at the time had a thing where it wasn't words, it was hand things, right? You know what I mean? Like if you want me to stop, right, just push me. or whatever. You know what I mean? I'll stop immediately what I'm doing. And I'll look at you, see what the fuck's going on. If you're okay, then we're going again. You know what I mean? But it's like, she has like this whole thing where she had like a thing in public. If we were doing things in public and I maybe was talking too much or something, she would just go like this. She'd go like this. She'd put her thumb up and put it on her throat like this and just kind of rub it up and down, which basically just means like stop, please, right? In public. It's like a thing basically telling me stop. It's like, it looks like she's itching her, you know, her neck or whatever, but it's with her thumb, and usually she doesn't itch her neck with her thumb. You know what I mean? It's like stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? Like little code words that we had in public, like, hey, you might not know this, but you're talking for too long. You need to stop talking for a minute. But it's like, yeah, I literally have that kind of shit with all my family members. Like my brother Robert will just look at me like this and go, like that, and that just basically means like, you done? I'm like, oh, my bad, dude. Sorry, I was rambling. He's like, nah, you're good, dude. I was just making sure you knew. I was like, nah, it's all good. My bad.
Yeah, I do the same thing, but I'll shuffle. Well, I won't shuffle my feet, but I'll like readjust my feet, and I'll just put my hands in the pockets and do that like open eye blink thing. I'll be like, you done?
Yeah. But yeah,
and I'll like look at the ground.
After this happens, right, when we're at the fucking checkout, right? While this is happening, right, I look behind me, right, and there's a lady who's standing behind me, and I didn't see her, right? And she looks at me and goes, the lady behind me anyway, she's like, is there by chance, you know, where I can find this and that? Like, do you shop here recently? I can't find an employee. I mean, because, like, obviously it was dead. I mean, there's no employees on the floor. And so I was like, oh, yeah. And then, you know, obviously fucking my girl at the time speaks up. She's like, yeah, it's over there. You know what I mean? Because she's trying to get the lady to leave so I can keep pressing the button. You know what I mean? Because she's like that. You know what I mean? She's like, get the fuck away. We're doing our thing. Get the fuck out of here type shit. So anyway, you know, the lady leaves and I still have my hands in my pockets, and I looked at her, I was like, you were so helpful. And she was like, yeah, I know, I'm just sweet like that. And I was like, oh yeah, you're sweet, huh? You're sweet? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, do you melt like butter too? And she goes, huh? And right, she goes, huh? Click, and held it down, right? And she goes, she looks at me and goes, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. Like she's literally like holding herself from like screaming. And she's like, you're going to get it when we get back to the car, I swear to God. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get it when I get back to the car? Okay. Click, hold. She was like, this is the last time I wear these out in public with you. You got me good. And, like, she was, like, basically explaining to me that her undergarments were, like, ruined, basically, at that point. Like, she said that she was, you know, making a mess of herself, we'll say that, at certain points. Like, okay, I don't know if y'all know this or not, okay, but in certain situations, one second, I'm gonna end stream, because no one